yeah, I got stomped and I went
Blows?
home. Yeah, yeah. Good. I mean, it was
Honestly, I think getting stomped is better than losing 3-2.
for sure. Yeah, like I had no problem with that. You know, I got stomped. I went home, and I was like, okay, well, that's it for me, guys. But I feel like for you, it took a while, no?
No, I mean, it wouldn't be so bad if I didn't make the game 5 mistake. It would be fine if that didn't happen. But once that happened, I was like, this really blows. And then for a few days, I was like, blows. But after like a few days of mental reset, it was really fine. It didn't take that long to recover. But I think generally, if you don't think about my mistake in game 5, most people would rather get stomped 3-0 and be like, okay, yeah, these guys are just better than us. They're just outclassing us completely. That's better than just losing a very close game and then losing it. I think that's what most people would say, at least.
I mean, it was kind of shameful. Like,
Yeah, I mean-
we got murdered.
Yeah, I mean, sure, getting a record for losing the fastest game or whatever is painful, but if you didn't get record stomped, then most people would take the 3-0 in favor over the 3-2.
Welcome back to Rift Rivals 2019, where we are gearing up for our first 2v2 side selection match. I'm Clayton Captain Flowers Range, joined by Mr. Andrew Vedius Day, here to bring you this clash between former duo lane partners. Vedius, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Now, explain to us how the 2v2 works, Captain Flowers.
All right, we have not done one of these yet today. The reason for that is 2v2s are played when teams that are the same seed from their respective regions. In the case of this game, TSM versus Origin, both came in second place at the end of Spring Split. That means we have to have a 2v2 to decide who is going to get side selection here into this game. That's what we're about to do. Let's go ahead and jump right into the starting rosters here. Selecting the blue side, we've got TSM with Broken Blade in the top lane, Acadian in the jungle, Bjergsen at mid, Sven and Smoothie bottom lane and support with Coach Zix.
Facing them on the red side, it is, of course, the European representatives. Origin with Alfara in the top lane, Cold in the jungle, Nukeduck in mid, Patrick bot lane, support Mithy, and their coach, Giotto.
Now for game 4, we prepare for a match between longtime duo partners now pitted against one another here on Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, Sven and Mithy were considered the best in the West for a very long time. And then when they came over to North America, expectations were naturally very high. Although they did not quite perform to the level.
They were not met.
Yes, exactly that. And after Mithy parted ways with TSM, funnily enough, TSM started to find success domestically at the beginning of the year. And then Mithy was starting to find success on Origin as well. And while both teams started off as like slightly shaky starts, they both had very similar trajectories where throughout the split, they gradually got better. They made it all the way to the finals. And then we got to hear from both players how their finals played out slightly differently. But
Yeah.
Mithy was a little bit happier about getting stomped rather than making it a close game that he could have won.
And as this also marks that battle between the bottom laners, it's a rematch between two EU mids as well, who bursted onto the scene with glorious fanfare and have since seen different levels of success in their two respective regions.
Yeah, it's the battle between Nukeduck and Bjergsen is one that I, as a European fan, am very excited to see. But we're not going to see it in this matchup because we still got to play that 2 versus 2.
Yes,
we have
sir.
Origin fielding Nukeduck and Patrick, with TSM fielding Broken Blade and Sven.
All right, let's see how they want to go about doing this one here. Top laner plus AD carry for the side of TSM, going up against AD carry and mid laner for the side of Origin.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a mismatch on the roles here, but it's still AD carry plus a solo laner. So I want to
Yes.
see what kind of tricks they've got tucked away. They've obviously separated the bottom lane duos. We're also not seeing a solo laner and a jungler for any sort of that synergy. This is kind of wacky, Vegas. AD carry plus solo laner is not even one of my normal solo queue go-tos.
It's one of those, like, one has a very deep champion pool, the other one has high mechanical skill. That would
Okay.
be the argument, right?
Okay.
But the champion that I always have my eyes on when it comes to Nukeduck are things like Zed, largely because this guy loves the champion. He is very proficient at it. He found that monstrous win against G2 last split on the champion, and it's something that you always have to bear in mind whenever going into an environment where he gets to flex some of his mechanical muscles.
I will be very surprised if TSM picks the cat.
I mean, it's pretty strong in lane, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. This doesn't feel like a 2v2 epic to me, Vegas. It feels like 1v2 and my pet cat's just hanging out over here. It's not what I signed up for. I do want to see, the Yorick is cool. The Yorick's an interesting
That's
pick.
pretty cool.
You trap him in the cage, but...
I mean, there's always the debate, right? Do you go for like long-range poke? Do you go for all-in? Right now, Origin are hovering over double support. We don't want to see that.
Or it could be the super mega speedy phase rush
Oh,
pop
my
catch as well. The
word.
one that gobbles you up and then runs away at 9 million miles an hour.
Well, We'll find out because they're doing it. But,
All right.
But I mean, think about it, right? So you have the Tahm Kench going super fast. If you land
Yeah.
the snowball, he jumps on you. And then Braum to help stack those passives as well.
Right.
Like, it's double on-hit passive duo effect. I can see that being super obnoxious.
Braum's there to make sure that Tahm Kench can get on top of you.
Yep.
And once he's there, he can just drag you all the way back to your base. He's like a thrift store Skarner at level 3. You just gobble him up, spit him back into your turret. It's a great time. TSM going for the opposite side of the coin there. Like you already mentioned, that long-range poke aspect instead. Their goal, make sure that fish is filleted before
Yep.
he can ever close the gap.
I mean, it should be hard. It should be difficult.
Yes.
They just got to avoid the snowballs. That's all that matters for the side of TSM. Long range advantage. They have a lot of harassment in this duo. So on paper, they should have the edge, but Braum pretty good at mitigating a lot of that poke damage as well. And again, I'm curious as to, we do see that phase rush that you were talking about. Speedy Tahm Kench, definitely one of the scariest Tahm Kenches.
Well, loading into this game, I will go ahead and let you all know, as I've seen the keystones on the loading screen, it is not super speedy Tahm Kench.
No.
Instead, this is double Hail of Blades, Braum
Oh,
MPK. It's mega attack speed, beat 'em up melee champion.
That is like, apply the passive as fast as you can. Oh my word. That,
Yeah. Not what I was expecting. I will go ahead and say that, but it will be hilarious to watch Tahm Kench lick somebody at the speed of sound. We'll see if that plays out. We are currently paused investigating some sort of an issue. I'll let you guys know once we end up figuring out what's going on with that one. Hopefully we can get into the game here very soon, but I don't think we're seeing anything too out of the ordinary on the side of TSM. Keystones look pretty normal
They
from the
going double
Xerath.
Comet by any
And
chance?
the Varus, well, my screen's a little messed up. I can't see the... Varus is lethal tempo, actually.
Oh, okay.
So Varus not completely all
well
in
for the
on,
lethality,
on
yeah.
the long range. Instead, just wants to be able to get those auto attacks off. Because, I mean,
All right.
if you get into any sort of an extended fight, lethal tempo will help you a lot.
For
right?
sure.
So
I feel if Origin ever successfully closed the gap,
you're just
it's
dead.
doomed. It's
Yeah.
just so doomed.
All right, I can see that. Because you might be able to shoot your arrows really fast, but that's a lot of punches and
But
a lot of
also, have
licks
you ever
when you're
played
fighting.
against top lane Tahm Kench?
It's really awful.
It's so horrible to play against.
It's not fun.
You're like, normally against champions, right? You sit there and like, there are cooldown windows, or like, there are certain opportunities where like certain levels you can look to trade.
Windows of
Whereas-
power
yeah,
and
right?
opportunity costs.
Whereas
and
against
things.
Tahm Kench, as
can
long as he
ignore
has
those.
Q, you're dead.
And it's on like a 4-second cooldown, so there's a lot of you're dead.
But it's funny because the thing about Tahm Kench is in laning phase, he's really oppressive. But then out of lane, he gets kited so easily that if you don't have things like Righteous Glory,
Oh, yeah.
like all these tools to just help close the gap, then he just gets kited for days. Which is why we put so much emphasis on these snowballs, because if they land, then it's over. But if they don't land, then you're just gonna get poked for days. Like there's a stun on the Xerath. You also have the slow field from the Varus. We're going to be finally jumping into game. Let's see if this double Hail of Blades support
Oh,
setup works.
baby. On my side computer here, I do also have the all chat visible, which Sven kicked things off by saying, good luck, have fun, XD. So you know it's going to be that kind of a game.
It's that kind of game.
Between these two duos here. Remember, this isn't actually for any sort of points or standings in the overall tournament. Instead, it is to decide who gets side selection in the upcoming match between the complete rosters of these squads. Patrick and Nuke Duck hanging out in that brush there, just waiting for the chance, Vedius, to throw first snowball.
Yeah, but TSM, they're very aware of it. They recognize that the brushes, places of extreme danger. You never want to fix
Yeah.
check those things.
That's a bad
So
place
they're
to
just
be.
going to avoid it for now. They've decided to go for what looks like Doran starts across the board, Ring for the Broken Blade, and the Blade for Sven. Meanwhile, double shield. And look at the positioning of Origin as well. They just want to try and zone them away from the farm as much as possible. And I mean, like, you would imagine that at level 1 with Hail of Blades, they're still insanely strong.
Yes. All right, they're going to farm up that one minion here. They'll at least be pushed away from the furthest most brushes. Broken Blade wants to move forward.
They're
Look
going,
at him,
they're
a
going.
double snowball into the Broken Blade. Stun him up, but not enough damage to take him down. It's going to be about half the HP bars of one member of both sides. Patrick going to take some extra auto attacks on his way out. But that's what they're looking out for, those snowballs. Now, there's at least a brief window. Snowball has about a 50-second cooldown for Sven, and Broken Blade did not worry so much, but once that summoner spell is back up for Origin, you best believe they're going to be flexing in that bush again.
But you can also see what happens if you don't have that level 2 and can't go for the all-in, where Sven was actually able to get a lot of harass on the retreat from the side of Origin, and they have to fully commit to these plays. But now they've got that level 2. Patrick, he has the Consume, and Nuke Duck, I would imagine that he's going to skill the W next, so that even if he misses his snowball, he can jump on top of the Tahm Kench, and he can stay nice and close.
So now it just becomes up to Tahm Kench. Please hit your snowball. I can throw mine into the wilderness and just jump to you. Also important to note, Broken Blade now has the stun available on the Xerath, which is a very powerful disengage tool against melee champions. Just means that Nuke Duck and Patrick will have to be that much more coordinated. There is no Ignite on Nuke Duck or Patrick. There was no complete all-in with Snowball, Ignite, or anything of that sort, so you won't have that extra kill potential should these guys land those snowballs, but they're still controlling the lane for now. 16 to 18 CS though, TSM doing just fine. They even have more to pick up, so they will be at a lead in farm, but Origin's win condition was never farm when they drafted these champs.
Never going to be about the farm, but Patrick
Patrick! First blooded, they bench the Kench with a nice stun into an arrow.
Beautiful punish there from TSM. You know, they got all their levels now. They have all the poke at their disposal, and Patrick, he kept getting chipped away at. TSM secured themselves first blood, so this is a great position for them to be in right now, I believe. On this game mode, you can actually go back and base as well. So I would assume that TSM are going to use this opportunity to reset, buy a couple items, and given that they've now pushed the wave all the way out again, Origin's wave should slowly start pushing towards TSM, depending on where the cannon minion spawns, because they kind of stagnate.
Yeah, they're back and forth, and I also think that Nuke Duck was trying to hold the wave in front of the turret, but he accidentally stepped into the brush for a split second, and the minions went to the turret anyway, so a little bit unlucky on the positioning there against those caster minions, but with TSM having gone back to base, now you've got more Dorans in the inventory. When the game's going to be fast, why not load up on the most cost-effective thing you can find? Some boots on Sven as well to catch up to these guys and outmaneuver those snowballs.
All right, so this is a good position for the wave to be in for Origin, largely because now Broken Blade and Sven are so far away from the tower, which means that this duo can just run them down, and they're going to look for it now.
Nuke Duck going in, looking to use the flash, get these stuns, get some kills. Here comes the damage. Broken Blade will be taken down, but one more auto attack seals the deal. TSM take the 2v2.
I like the hard commit from the duo of Origin. However, they'd already lost that one kill earlier, so Sven's focus was on shutting down the Braum. Good decision-making there coming out from the duo, and TSM will be able to come out on top, and they get choice of side coming into this matchup.
All right, I believe we have a replay coming up of the kills here. This was your first one. Easy pickup.
Yep, you can see that he was just taking way too much harass, trying to push the wave in. And here we actually see the all-in commit. So Nuke Duck jumps to the minion wave. He blocks a lot of the damage with his E, and then they commit onto the Xerath first. Now you can see in this situation, they could probably actually get the two versus one, but Sven, quick thinking, was like, if I can just get this kill onto Braum, we can actually just win here and now.
Yeah, game's over.
And they're able to secure themselves the win. So definitely a big pickup. Really good stuff there from TSM. And we're just now waiting to find out which side TSM has selected for this matchup.